Hello, my name is Courtney Brame. I'm the founder and executive director of Something Positive for Positive People. This is a 501c3 nonprofit organization that serves essentially as a self help resource for people with herpes. I found that over the last 5.5 years of interviewing people living with STIs, as well as nurses, sexual health experts, and mental health experts, that a lot of times our sexuality is really interconnected with our identities. And so, uncoupling our sexuality from our identity gives us an opportunity to see who we are through an adversity, through the vulnerability lens that we have to put to ourselves when trying to figure this out. Navigating herpes stigma is a really challenging thing. I did it for 4 years before I began to seek out community support and resources. And when I got there, what I found was that even those weren't always useful. The most useful aspect of it was the community piece. And even then, going through that, what I had to learn was that there's a component of, how can I put this in like a non woo woo way? Just sort of a self identifying process that had to occur. Herpes being one of the most challenging adversities that I had to face throughout my life, this has been a pathway of my understanding to get to who I am. And through this, I've gone through therapy. I have spoken to, at this point, probably thousands of people who have been living with and navigating any and all aspects of the herpes stigma. Um, One of the things that encouraged me to start this platform was that there were people who wanted to end their lives because of their diagnosis. And this is something that I've heard fairly often. There's a survey that I took. You can find it on the Something Positive for Positive People website, spfpp.org. And what you'll see is that there was a percentage of people who self harmed, as well as attempted suicide and thought about suicide after their diagnosis. I believe the numbers were 6% and then 25% for people who had suicide ideation, and the 6% was for people who attempted suicide. So this was a small survey done in 2019, and it's still relevant because I'm still talking to people to this day who tell me that at the point of their diagnosis they became suicidal. So this resource it's real. It's something that I'm passionate about. It's something that I've really found myself being invested in. And the services offered are donation based mentorship. If you want just support through navigating the stigma, if you are wanting to look at what this means to you, if you're wanting to disclose to partners, if you are wanting to even open up your relationship and go back into the dating world, or if you're someone who's just got out of a relationship and haven't had to think about what it meant to live with and date with herpes for however long, then this is a really good starting point. Another thing that we do is we offer donation-based therapy with a licensed mental health professional who has experience working with people who are living with herpes. This is a big deal to people who already have a therapist, maybe that they don't feel safe or comfortable disclosing their status to, or to people who haven't tried therapy or felt like they haven't needed to experience therapy. And it's a really safe way to begin because we already have the topic in mind and we can explore what your thoughts and beliefs are about what it means to have herpes and navigate the stigma of this thing. So I believe that both of these things in conjunction with one another really help. They help with um, taking our ideas about ourselves that exclusively relate to our sexuality, and it gives us the tools to go within and uncouple our identity from our sexuality exclusively so that we can learn who we are and begin to care for that person and allow for that person to more show up in the world so that we can have this experience of being able to express ourselves, being able to discover new things about ourselves, new aspects of ourselves, and overall just have a more aligned life with who we believe ourselves to be aside from our sexual identities, because sexual health is mental health. And I believe that uncoupling our identity from our sexuality gives us an opportunity to see what else is there. Not to say that it has to be a permanent uncoupling, but typically with a herpes diagnosis, there's this idea that a person is going to be undesirable or that they may not have someone love them, or they may not have sex again, or they may not be able to have children. And there's a lot there in relation to how we feel about ourselves. So it's important to be able to have a safe space to really delve into those types of thoughts and understand what they mean for us, and start to separate, the subjective component from the objective component, and then decide what we want that narrative to be, because there's a lot of stories that we tell ourselves that aren't even our stories to hear. So it's my mission, my purpose, my ear fell out, to support you as best I can throughout this process. Again, this is donation-based mentorship as well as therapy for people who are wanting to either work with myself or work with a licensed mental health care professional. I can connect you to someone in your area. We have a growing network of licensed clinicians, therapists, counselors who are able to work with you because they have experience, proven experience, working with people who are living with herpes. At this point, more than 50 people have gone through Something Positive for Positive People therapy. And I myself, in future videos, will talk about some of the things that I've had to process in my own experience with therapy. And this is going to be experience based. I'm only going to share what comes from my experience, not to say that this is something that you can take and put on paper and show to a partner and be like, here, look, this guy's doing it, so everybody's doing it, whatever that may look like for you. So I want to invite people into the experience of what therapy has to offer, especially for people living with herpes, because I was someone who thought to myself, I got this under control. I have a nonprofit and a podcast, and I talk about this on a daily, but there's still things that come up for me that if I hadn't been in therapy, otherwise I would have either not noticed. I call these my blind spots. So I would have either not noticed these things, or they would have continued to play out in an unconscious way that would have sabotaged things that I wanted for myself consciously. And part of my journey through therapy and with this organization and my own evolution have manifested in what has become now this video. And I'm hoping that me putting my story and my experiences on display is going to support people in coming forward and wanting to experience their own version of healing and go through this journey on their own, but alongside someone who can be supportive, who has the experience, who has the connections, the professional folks who have the credentials and the experience to be able to take you through the pieces of this that maybe I just can't. So if you want to support Something Positive for Positive People, please utilize the services. It's donation-based mentorship with me. If you want to go through how to disclose your status to a partner, when's the best time to disclose, how to do so. If you're with a partner and they don't have herpes and you want to understand how to communicate with them. If you're wanting to, I'll disclose your partner for you if we want to take it that far. But it's really important that we understand our own relationship to this. And I think that the best way is going to be in conjunction with the Something Positive for Positive People mentorship with me, as well as working with a licensed mental health professional. So if you are someone who's interested in that, please reach out to me. I'm just Courtney at spfpp.org. Again, that's Courtney, my first name, at spfpp.org. And that's just Something Positive for Positive People's acronym. I thank you for watching this video, and if you are someone who's in need of services, or even if you're just curious, don't hesitate to reach out with any questions you have, all right? Till next time, stay sex positive.